How is it like being a writer in Israel?
Well, it's a very complex question and a
Okay.
complex issue, of course. Um, well, on the one hand, it's a nightmare for writers because you cannot concentrate and so many things happening at the same time. And everyone wants you to write about politics, and and it is not the peaceful place that you wish. On the other hand, it's paradise because it's full of energy, full of inspiration, never a dull moment. So it's a. I have to balance between this paradise and nightmare. This is what I try to do.
How does religion influence your writing? Or does it influence your writing?
No, the religion, I don't think that the religion is a great influence on my writing, but I think that the Jewish sources are a great influence. It means that I don't think that you have to be religious in order to read the Bible, in order to know the old Jewish sources. And this is what I try to do. I try to combine some sources, some Jewish old literature that people might think that it is a religious literature, but for me it is just great literature. And I try to relate it to my books in many ways. And I try to show my readers that the Bible is not only for religious people, but it's open for everyone.
What does writing mean for you?
Writing is a great joy, and also sometimes a deep suffering, and it gives a lot of meaning to my life. And this is, in a way, writing is my home, but it is also very hard work.
I see. Okay. From what I've read, I see that you write about relationships between members of the families. Does your writing reflect the Israeli reality in some way?
I think my writing reflects the human reality. On the one hand, my writing is very intimate. In another hand, it's quite universal. I don't think it's especially very Israeli because Israelis are not so different from other people in the Western world. It's true that Israelis' family are a bit more close, I think, than in other places in the world. And the issue of family is a big issue in Israel. So I guess my books can reflect it in a way, that this close connections and guilt feelings and a lot of memories, a lot of anger inside the family.
You once called Middle East a cruel place with cruel rules. Tell us more about it and how it affects relationships between men and women as described in your novels.
Yes, the Middle East is a quite difficult place, and I don't think we, the Israelis, the Israeli leadership, I don't think it's all. Maybe we can start.
Yes, sure.
Maybe we can start again. That I don't think the Israeli leadership learned enough how to deal with this tragic problematic place. But on the other hand, it's a place with a lot of opportunities and a lot of hope. And I really want to see peace in my life. Well, I guess love is the same everywhere, and relationships are not very much different in Israel than in other places in Europe, for example. But I think that the existential threat makes everything more extreme. So I guess love in Israel can sometimes be more lively just because the presence of the.
How are your novels received and perceived in your country?
My novels were received very well. My first novel who became a big bestseller was Love Life.
Yes.
And it was a bit, it was received very well, but still it was quite provocative for the Israeli audience, Israeli readers. And I remember I was walking in the streets and people were stopping me and shouting at me and telling me how much they're angry at this young lady, how could she leave her husband, how could she fall in love with this guy. It was really very moving. It was a bit unpleasant, but on the other hand, it showed me how much people could identify with the story. So, well, I cannot complain. I was very privileged in my country and in other countries too.
Yes. Did your traumatizing experience influence your writing, and what changed after it happened?
Well, this terror attack that I was injured in, it influenced my writing temporarily because I had to stop. I just couldn't go on writing. I was too post-traumatic. So for half a year I couldn't write. But half a year later, when I recovered, I just continued the same sentence I stopped before, and I tried not to let it influence me because I felt that this tragic situation can control my life, but I don't want to let it control my writing. So it was a kind of struggle against it, just to continue my writing and as if nothing happened, and not to write about what happened.
What do you want to tell the world through your novels, and what would you want the people to remember most from them after reading them, of course?
Well, you know, my great wish is that my readers will feel that they are less lonely, and that they will feel ability and power to change something in their lives, to create a better communication, first of all, maybe with themselves and maybe with other people that are close to them. I would love my readers to feel that my books gave them a hand and helped them to solve a problem, or to be more aware, or even to be happier.
Why did you choose monologue as a matter of expression instead of the third narrative, And are human emotions better emphasized this way?
Well, it's not really a matter of choice because my writing is very natural. So I write the way I hear it, the way it comes. So it was not a matter of decision. I think the first person narrative was right for me at the beginning, and I think it created a very intense kind of intimacy. But in my last novel, I started to write in a third person narrative of 3 different characters. I think it's here. It's the rest. The rest of
I just this.
Yes. Yes. This one.
Okay, I haven't read it yet.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of this one.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So in my late novel, it was not a matter of decision.
Okay.
It just came like the sentences came in this way, and I realized that it is third person narrative of an old woman, and then I moved to her daughter and then to her son, which are quite not children anymore, like midlife age, and it was the first time that I experienced this third person narrative. And I tried to keep this intimacy also in a third person, and well, I hope I succeeded. You tell me.
Feels like a confession. Confession, the one
yes,
you write, the
you're
first
right.
person.
Yes, you're right.
The reader is very close to the author while reading it.
Yes.
Okay. So I said I'm a big fan of husband and wife. I sensed a sort of jealousy from the mother towards the daughter. Was I entirely wrong?
Well, mother-daughter relationship, of course, it has also sometimes a lot to do with jealousy, but well, a bit, but I think they overcame.
Okay.
And I always feel that what you feel is less important than what you do, and I think that the mother, even though she felt this feeling, she managed to control herself and to do the right thing.
Yes.
So this is what important.
Right. What characters are you most fond of, and which ones were most difficult to create?
Well, I think after I wrote the last novel, how do you say it in Romanian?
This one, Fără de viață.
Fără de viață. I got very attached to this character, to the male character in the book, because it's the first time that I could really write from a consciousnm of a man. And I realized that it was much more natural for me than I expected. I guess, like Virginia Woolf said, writers are androgynous when they write. So Avner Horowitz, the human rights lawyer in this novel, I think he's my favorite. Who was the most difficult one? I think Ella in Terra here. Ella, she was very hard to control, and she was much more dominant than I expected. And I had some plans for her, and she changed them, and I had to give up. And yes, she was much more strong and childish and selfish than I expected her to be. So I had some difficulties with her. But I think by the end of the book, she learned a lot, and she became easier.
Your characters and their relationships reflect the nowadays problems in families. Where do you think people make mistakes? Where do they fail?
And I think modern love is a big challenge because the freedom that we have, which is great, of course, makes it harder for us to stay with our old choices, and it seems very easy to change, to gain new life, like in Terra, where she's easily planning to leave her husband because she has a fantasy about better life, and then of course her dream is broken, but she's still she cannot correct her mistakes, and she has to try to find a better life even after her fantasy was broken. And it's only one example of the problems of modern love. It's funny, that this book Terra made so many couples stay together in Israel and in other countries. Many readers told me that they were so frightened by this story, which was so painful for them, that they decided not to separate, not to divorce. So it became like a present from mother to daughter that wants to leave the husband.
Okay.
But I think it's a great challenge, and I think we are not. No one teach us to love and to be partners. It's very heavy issues that I think many people are not prepared with the difficulties. We have this romantic fantasy, but usually it never comes true. Yes. I guess we have to lower our expectations and not to expect too much, and to try to be more concentrate on giving than on getting, receiving. And I think it's a good way to be happier.
Do you think literature gives people a solution to improve their life crisis or their lives?
Again,
Do you think literature gives people a solution to improve their lives?
Well, I think literature should raise questions, first of all, more than solutions. Because you can always argue every solution, but the question is, you should always listen to the question. So I think literature can help us, not in a direct way like you read a book of advices, but in an indirect way, if you identify with the characters, if you find yourself in the book, you find if you can adopt a way that you read about it in the book, if you can get ideas of other ways, of other solutions, of even just for trying, I think literature can create a dialogue. First of all, an inner dialogue, which is the most important, and then sometimes a dialogue with the other people around you, and yes, it can create a better situation.
I only have one demand from you. If you can send, you can tell a small message for your readers who read our magazine, Hyperliteratura. Few words, and that's it.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all my readers in Romania. I feel very privileged to be here and to feel your love. And it's a wonderful feeling because writing is such a lonely profession. I sit all day next to my computer and I think about the characters and I don't live in the reality. And then when I go out and when I go to other places, especially to places where I have readers, then I feel that I'm not lonely anymore. And I think even though I don't know you personally, I feel close to you through the books, and I hope my books can be a comfort in times of crisis.
Well, that's it. Thank you very much, and I hope it wasn't uncomfortable.
No, it was lovely.